Toronto FC and Montreal Impact. The rivalry between these two cities and between these two teams predates MLS. Montreal Impact have been active as a club since 1992 when they played in the APSL, what we know today as the USL. In 2005, Toronto was granted an MLS franchise and played their first game as Toronto FC in 2007. The first meeting between these two teams took place in 2008, the first year of the Canadian Championship. This tournament is a domestic tournament for all teams across Canada. There aren't very many teams that participate even to this day, but a trophy and a spot in the CONCACAF Champions League is still plenty enough to play for. Toronto won the game 1-0, but since there were only 3 teams in the tournament, Toronto, Montreal, and the Vancouver Whitecaps, they each played home and away and tallied points to determine a winner. Montreal posted a 2-1-1 record in the tournament and ended up winning the entire thing, drawing against Toronto in the final leg to clinch the trophy. Both teams can look to that tournament and feel like they had the upper hand in the rivalry, Toronto never losing to Montreal through both legs, and Montreal lifting the trophy at the end and clinching against their rivals. Toronto would go on to win the next 2 Canadian championships, which included the Reds winning 6-1 in 2009 and beating Montreal in both legs in 2010. In 2010, MLS announced that the Impact would be the next expansion franchise moving up into the top flight league. They joined MLS in 2012 and played their first ever MLS game against TFC on April 7th, where Montreal came out victorious 2-1 in front of their home crowd. The two teams first met in the MLS Cup playoffs in 2015. It was Toronto's first ever playoff appearance, but the Impact won 3-0 at home to end the Red season. The two teams met again in 2016, this time with the stakes elevated though, as they played in the Eastern Conference Finals. This playoff matchup featured 2 legs, my preferred playoff format, and Montreal won their home leg 3-2. In Game 2, however, Toronto beat out Montreal 5-2, taking the series 7-5 on goal aggregate and becoming the first Canadian team to play in the MLS Cup final. Toronto would lose the final in 2016 against Seattle, but in a rematch 1 year later, Toronto hoisted the trophy to claim the only MLS Cup between either team in this rivalry. They haven't met in the playoffs since that 2016 series, which is one of the most memorable playoff series in MLS Cup history. Since 2012, there have been 30 regular season matches between the two clubs, with Toronto taking the slight edge, winning 13 matches compared to Montreal's 12. In the playoffs, Montreal has 2 wins compared to Toronto's 1, but that one Toronto win was big enough to clinch a playoff series and knock out Montreal in the Eastern Conference Finals. The MLS regular season and playoff records are remarkably similar, and added together give them an equal head-to-head matchup record at 14-14. Their head-to-head matchup in the Canadian Championship, however, tells a different story. Since 2008, the two teams have played in the tournament 22 times, with Toronto winning 12 of those games and Montreal just 5. Add in their one meeting in the MLS's back tournament where Toronto also got the win, it brings their complete head-to-head total to 10 draws, 19 Montreal wins, and a staggering 27 Toronto wins. Toronto also has 1 MLS Cup where Montreal has none, and 8 Canadian Championship trophies compared to Montreal's 5. Toronto has the clear edge in trophies, but every meeting is always a clash between these two clubs. This is one rivalry match that you won't want to miss.